Hello and welcome to Race 4 of Super League Triathlon's eSports cycling series. We've seen three fantastic races over the course of June already, and all of them have come down to really close finishes, fantastic racing, and the women's dominated in their opening race by Lucy Charles-Barclay, and we're going to see if that happens again in about 15 minutes' time, this time in Watopia, which is Zwift's made-up world. There's plenty to enjoy scenery-wise, not that any of our women are going to be enjoying any of that scenery. They're going to be pedal to the metal to see if they can take the points and the cash. And joining me in this pre-show and across this call for this second of the women's races is Annie Emerson. And Annie, before we look forward, I guess, to what this race is going to bring, let's look back to the race in Yorkshire just last week. Lucy Charles-Barclay, not a Super League athlete, of course, a long course athlete, has gone so close at Kona 3 years in a row. But had no problems finishing on the top step in this one. In fact, taking every intermediate point. What a performance that was.
Yeah, I think it was very calculated. Well, she knew exactly what she was doing. You know, she is the consummate professional. She really is meticulous in her preparation. And I think that showed in the race where, you know, she was just on it every time for the KOMs, for the sprints. She knew where to place herself. Emma tried to give her a little bit of a run for her money over the final sprint, the finish line, but unfortunately couldn't get the better of her. And, you know, I can't see things being any different in the second race. The only thing I would say is we have the addition of Pamela Oliveira, another Brazilian. You know, is she going to get it together with Luisa Baptista? Are they going to work together? Because Luisa finished really strong in third place.
Yeah, but it was too hard to take anything off the Brits on home soil, if you like, virtual home soil. 4 in the top 6, including the top 2. And you mentioned Emma Pallant there, and an athlete of her calibre, to even hang with Lucy Charles-Barclay was admirable, but she didn't quite have it there in the end. And that kind of, it brings to mind the amount of Zwift racing you're doing. We know Emma just got onto the Zwift racing in the last few months because of the coronavirus and being locked down over there in South Africa. But it's a game, and the more you play it, the better you get at it. And that has become evident, I think, with how good Lucy Charles was, because she does so much of this type of racing.
Oh, well, I think you summed it up there, really, isn't it? It is like a game, and the more you play it, the better you get at it. And I think that was very evident in all the athletes' performances. I think the only one that stands out from that was Maya Kingma, the Dutch athlete who was her first time racing on Zwift and had a brilliant performance. But you're absolutely right. Lucy Charles now is a highly experienced athlete racing on Zwift, and that shows. You know, I think Emma will improve too. I think there's huge room for Emma to improve. Just understanding the racing a little bit better. You know, she's an athlete that knows how to absolutely go to the darkest of places when it comes to effort. So I think she'll be challenging Lucy as much as she can over this course. And of course, looking at the course, seeing one not as demanding as Harrogate, and I think that potentially will once again play into the hands of the slightly stronger riders and the taller riders. If we look at Emma Pallant, 5'9", Lucy Charles as well tall, so I think it's that power that's going to get them over the line first.
All right, we're going to see them lining up soon. But before we go through the rest of the field outside of Lucy Charles-Barclay and Emma Pallant that we've talked about already, you mentioned the course, so let's go through that. The Watopia Hilly Route in Reverse. So normally when you get on Watopia or in Zwift, if you're indeed spending time on your indoor trainer, as many of us are at the moment, you can do the Hilly Route. In fact, it was the first route ever for Watopia released to the public. So it's still a very popular one. And this will be 3 laps around the reverse of that route. It's 27.5 kilometres and also around the same distance as the other races that we've had. But this time there will be, in fact, 7 points or intermediates, including the finishing line where there'll be double points. But there's the sprint in the Italian villas, and that comes up quite early in this one, only 2.8 kilometres in. So not much time to, if you haven't warmed up properly, to get the legs pumping for that one. And then the hilly Queen of the Mountain, that the first time around is 7.5 kilometres. So each of these laps is 9.1. It adds up to 27.5 with a couple of 100 metres lead in. So 3 sets of 2 intermediates in each lap, and then double points on the finishing line. So plenty of points to scoop there if indeed Lucy Charles can do the whole thing, but plenty of chances for other people to take some points off it as well. So to go through this course a little bit compared to the others. Of course, Harrogate had its characteristics, including that long drag up and a really steep, sharp Queen of the Mountain section. But this one doesn't really have the elevation. And you said, but there's plenty of little rollers and little kickers that could spread the field out, Annie.
Yeah, it's it's described as having punchy climbs. In fairness, they're not particularly steep. The course is kind of flat with some rolling sections in it too. So I think it is going to be about having a really good plan going into this. And will the athletes decide, having looked at the race last week and how Lucy dominated, that perhaps they do want to try and work together? It's not a team event; it is an individual event. And I guess, of course, the Brits aren't going to want to work against Lucy Charles, but if they want to sort of spice it up and make it a bit more exciting, I think that's the only way it's going to work. I mentioned Luisa Baptista and, of course, Pamela Oliveira, who'll be coming to race. She didn't race in the first one. Really strong athlete, actually. Moved over to the Ironman 70.3 racing, but she is an Olympian and had a great swim and a bike combination when she was racing over the short course. So I think she potentially could spice it up. But yes, the course is challenging, but it's rolling and flat, and it is going to play into the hands more of that power strength athlete rather than the likes of Ilaria Zane, who we saw race so well on the Bologna course in the Zwift Classics. Also a Super League triathlete. We've seen her racing on the Super League series many times before.
Yeah, it's probably more of a Sophie Caldwell type course in terms of a power athlete with a great strong bike, and we'd love to see her take it to Emma Pallant and Lucy Charles. But this course, of course, you start on the pier down in Watopia downtown, and then straight into the S's, which is some short climbs and descents, and that can string the group out a little bit, but good drafting skills means that you can conserve a lot of energy on this course in those kind of short climbs and descents. So being smart on Zwift is going to be important. Then the sprint comes up, and it's only a 180-metre sprint section, so we'll really need to see some high sort of 8 to 10 watts a kilo orange numbers pop up on that one. There's some more rollers after the Villas sprint section that leads us into the reverse Queen of the Mountain. So it'll be important, and this is where Lucy Charles is very good in positioning on those sort of rolling hills prior to the Queen of the Mountain to put yourself in a good position, either if you're hurting before the Queen of the Mountain to try and give yourself a little bit of a head start, or to push the pace and push the gas on everybody else if you think there's some others out there who are really struggling. And then the descent, we'll see the Super Tuck be employed. It's an average of 5.5% downhill, and that's a 1 kilometre descent after what was a 2.5 kilometre ascent up the Queen of the Mountain and then through to the finish. Now, we're going to see probably a pack sprint finish in races that I've seen on this course before. It usually ends in a pack sprint. We might drop some people throughout, but we'll end probably with a group. And out of those athletes, if you look at Lucy Charles, Emma Pallant, Luisa Baptista, Sophie Caldwell were our top four, Maya Kingma was there, and Lucy Hall, they were our point scorers from last time around. Who has the best sprint? I mean, triathletes are not renowned for their sprints, but who can put those numbers out?
Well, I think, we're going to see perhaps, very tactical racing this time round. I think we'll see athletes that might, Maya Kingma will have learnt a lot from the last race. Helen Jenkins, she was strong in the early stages of the race last week, but then faded. We know she's not where she wants to be in terms of her fitness, and she's just on this because she's enjoying getting out there and racing. I think, it'd be hard to look beyond Lucy Charles, of course, Emma Pallant, Sophie Caldwell as well. We know how well she's ridden before in the classics, and I think she's an athlete that if she's really smart, and she's got another week's training under her belt, which she needed. She said herself she'd been a little bit off the pace for the last few weeks, so I think perhaps seeing slightly better performances from Sophie Caldwell. Be interesting to see what Maya Kingma can do, but I'll say it again, Lucy Charles is going to be the one to beat on the line, that's for sure.
Yeah, a strong Brazilian contingent who didn't do overly well, and you've mentioned already Pamela Oliveira and Luisa Baptista. We've got Jennifer Arnold as well, the 27-year-old who was heavily backed. I was reading through the YouTube comments on the race, and plenty of people backing her in. I don't know as much about her as I probably could, to be fair. Beatrice Nera to recoup after not really figuring in the first one. Dominika Jamnicki from Canada is another one as well. Helen Jenkins, you mentioned, she didn't really do too much in that race. And Vanessa De La Torre, Megan Brown from Australia as well. I mean, it's a very, very good field and a very strong field. But the Brits, and it pains me to say this, but we're probably going to see 4 Brits in the top 6 again.
Can't believe you say it pains you to say it, Will. You know, the Brits, as we've seen in the men, you know, you better watch out in the men's race too, because, you know, they are really kicking at the heels of the Aussies in the last race, which is going to be exciting, but more of that later, of course. I think that the Brits are incredibly strong, but you mentioned Pamela. You know, I can say just before lockdown, she raced the Dubai 70.3 race and finished 3rd there. You know, that was one of her first outings over the longer course. So whilst this is obviously over the shorter distances, just under 30 kilometres, you know, I think Pamela's going to be really strong. I think it's going to be interesting to see what she does. She doesn't have a lot of experience racing on Zwift, and of course that is going to go against her. But as I mentioned before, you know, as an athlete that I've watched over the years and commentated on, what she does have is an incredibly strong bike. She wasn't known as a very technical athlete, so again, Zwift is going to suit her. So I'm expecting the Brits, you know, particularly the team there of Pamela and Louisa, to be working together. Pamela's going to definitely back Louisa. You know, we know she's 3rd in the ranking, young athlete, only 25 years of age, and I'd be very surprised if Pamela isn't getting stuck in and helping her teammate on Tuesday.
All right, so let's run it down then. Let's get your predictions. It's going to be very hard to go against Lucy Charles. We know that. I was honestly surprised by how much stronger she was than the rest of the competition. Obviously, a little bit more organised, a little bit more ready to take on this course. There'll be plenty of athletes there who haven't had any other competitive outlet, who will have been licking their wounds after that one, having been shown up somewhat outside of Emma Pallant. But is it a 1-2 Charles Pallant again? Is there anyone else that you can put into your top 3? Let's get your predictions.
I think because of the design of this course, I think it's going to stay together, as you said already, Will. I don't think we're going to see the big gaps that we saw fairly early on in Harrogate. So I think they're going to stay together more, and that's going to just make it a little bit more challenging, perhaps slightly put a bit of pressure on Lucy. So my top picks, well, you're not going to not include Lucy in that, are you? But I'm going to say Sophie Caldwell and throw her in the mix, and Emma Pallant, of course. Oh my gosh. So there's 3 Brits for you. But let's look out for Maya Kingma and Luisa Baptista as well to be somewhere around those podium positions.
All right, I'm actually going to have to go with you. And again, it hurts me to say this, but it's going to be a Brit top 3. You can choose gold, silver and bronze, but it'll be, as you say, I think Emma Pallant, Lucy Charles and Sophie Caldwell will be our top 3. I don't know in what order. But having said that, there's plenty of points on the line. As we said, 6 intermediates throughout these 3 laps of the Watopia Hilly Route Reverse, including double points on the finishing line as well. In a pack sprint, you know anything can happen. Drafting, of course, gives you about 30%. So the smart athlete and the athlete that sits in and times their runs well in terms of picking up those intermediate points is going to be the one that comes out on top and takes the cash in this one. $1,200 for the winner. We pay down to, I think, 6th position. But the big money, of course, is at the top end, $800 for 2nd place. But mostly it's about bragging rights and about getting out there and building your competitive juices. Now, quickly, just before we get to the race, I should mention, of course, that we're going to be on Instagram Live. Straight after the race, Annie is going to be talking to our winners as they warm down on their trainers, wherever they are around the world. You'll see athletes on different types of bikes. We know, if you know your Zwift, that different bikes give you different advantages. Well, there's no power-ups in this race. There's no bike advantages. Everyone has a completely level playing field. Zwift has been at pains to make sure that this represents racing as well as possible in real life, and it is time to get the racing underway right now. It's the Watopia Hilly Route Reverse. We've got a fantastic Super League Triathlon women's field, and they are all chasing Lucy Charles Barclay after dominating last time around. It is time now to go racing. And just like that, we are in Watopia and getting ready for this one. Not too long now until the start of this. They're on the pier in downtown Watopia, and some late-breaking news that we've been just informed of is Sophie Caldwell, who we've been talking about so much in the pre-show, has had to withdraw very late on with a knee issue, which is very sad news for the pointy end of this race, which she almost certainly would have been in. So Very unfortunate for the Brits, but they've got about 18 excellent athletes, including this one, Lucy Charles-Barclay, who took the maximum 30 from 30 intermediate points. We now have 40 on offer for this one with 6 intermediates and then double points on the finishing line as they make their way through downtown Watopia. A nice little downhill to start if you haven't warmed up well enough, and then we'll go through the start-finish banner. From there, it is a nice little flat section before we head up to about 4%, building up before we go through the tunnel and a left turn into the S's. But Lucy Charles-Barclay, we talked about her in the lead up to this one. She was absolutely unstoppable in terms of what happened in race 1, and I would assume that the same thing is going to happen in this one. Her numbers are off the charts compared to most of the others in the field. Of course, she is a long course athlete, used to sitting on the trainer for very long periods of time. Finished second in the Ironman World Championships the last 3 years in a row, but won over Emma Pallant in a GB 1-2 back in race 1. So at the moment, we are following along with her, but up the front, Emma Pallant, we talked about, Jennifer Arnold and Luisa Baptista, the Brazilian pairing. Megan Brown of Australia is there. Dominika Jamnicki of Canada. Helen Jenkins is there as well. Ilaria Zane, who does so well on a climbing course, is one of the lightest athletes we've got. This unfortunately is not that course. It's more of a power athletes course. So that should fall into the Charles-Barclay or Pallant style of things. But most of these athletes pushing about 4 watts a kilogram at the moment. And heading along at about 37, 38 kilometres. So plenty to go in this one. And without a doubt, it's a bit of a, I guess, quiet start. And Charles-Barclay just sitting in the pack there, pushing about 300 watts. And I say quiet start, but 300 watts for the rest of us is not necessarily too quiet, as they string out a little bit on the S's. Now, the S's here is about a 1 kilometre section with some little punchy climbs, as you can see, which is the opportunity there for people to string this course out. And you can see already, say, Pamela Oliveira with a little surge there of 8 watts a kilo. Luisa Baptista the same, as they just test each other out on this one. Baptista leading from Charles-Barclay. Maya Kingma, the Dutch athlete. And there is Emma Pallant in her rave cave with the flashing red lights over in South Africa. Oliveira as well, Lucy Hall, there or thereabouts. But all of our athletes within 1.8 seconds, and Baptista out the front. Annie Emerson, welcome to the telecast. I think you kicked the internet plug out there for a second, but you're back, so that's good.
Oh, well, the joys of commentating from home. There's always little challenges, but we've overcome them. And what a great race we have ahead of us. I've had a good look at this course, and I tell you what, it's exciting. It might not have the steep climbs, but the way that the King of the Mountains, the sprints are placed, there's going to be no rest here at all. I think we're set for another sort of 25 kilometres of very exciting racing.
Indeed, we are. We're already getting into it here, 2.5 kilometres, which means we're getting very close to the sprint, and we're in the sprint section right now. The first section of the intermediate. Lucy Hall's up the front. Lucy Charles-Barclay's there. Jennifer Arnold's there. We're going to see at the end of this bridge who takes the first points. And again at the front, it's Lucy Charles-Barclay through the banner first. Lucy Hall, Jennifer Arnold, Luisa Baptista will get you confirmation of how that one shook out, but that's the first section of points. Comes up on you very, very quickly as Emma Pallant moves into the front position, but we'll see the points in just a second. And we'll see if anyone was able to take the points from Lucy Charles-Barclay, but I don't think they had been able to. And being organised on this course and knowing exactly where you need to push is very, very important. We could see already people pushing out and stringing the field out a little bit, knowing that this sprint was about to come up. And there you go, Lucy Charles-Barclay takes the 5 from Lucy Hall, Jennifer Arnold, Luisa Baptista and Emma Pallant. And They are 5 of our top 6 athletes, Annie, from last time out, and it looks like the cream's rising to the top again.
Oh, well, she certainly is, isn't she? I mean, other than a mechanical happening, which I think is unlikely, I just don't know how the athletes are going to get the better of Lucy Charles. Interesting to see Jennifer Arnold, the Brazilian, up there. I thought she raced pretty well in the early stages in Harrogate, and then she got dropped on a climb. This course is going to suit her a lot more. I think that Emma Pallett will be a bit disappointed to only pick up 1 point there in 5th position, but Lucy Hall looking really strong as well from Great Britain.
Yeah, it is the battle of Brazil and Team GB, just as in the men's race, which will be Thursday night. It'll be the battle of GB and Australia as Maya Kingma rockets her way up into that top group. And already we can see athletes getting dropped off the back, just off the back of that climb, 3 kilometres in. Maya Kingma looking extremely relaxed, considering she just pushed 8 watts a kilo there, which for the rest of us would result in our knees exploding, but she can do it every day of the week. At the moment, we've already lost Vanessa De La Torre and Adriana Barraza, our 2 Mexican athletes. Adriana coming in very late on this one. They're both 38 seconds back, just off the back of that one. As they roll through these little rollers, which leads up to the start of the Queen of the Mountain section. Once they head over this big bridge, it's about 500 metres to the start of that hill, and it's about 11%. So we're really going to see who has warmed up well in this one. Also back 4 seconds, Ilaria Zane, Radka Carlaville, Helen Jenkins, Pamela Oliveira, Beatrice Neres. So at the moment we have a group of 6 at the front, led by Lucy Charles Barclay, alongside Lucy Hall, Jennifer Arnold, Maya Kingma, Luisa Baptista, and Emma Pallett. So the Brits and the Brazilians at the front. There is Helen Jenkins, and I appreciate the AC/DC poster in the background, providing a little bit of I guess, motivation to keep going as we head towards the big cycling stages. And this is going to be a little tester, Annie.
Well, it certainly is. I mean, it's a nasty little climb, as you said, around about 11%. It then levels out a little bit, so it gets slightly easier. But I think we're going to see a few athletes dropping off the pace here. We're already seeing this field split up already in these early stages of the race. I'm looking at Pamela Oliveira. She's a new addition to this race this week. She didn't race in Harrogate, from Brazil, an Olympian, now racing 70.3. She's around about 6 seconds back in 7th place. And it's the top 6 that look like they've got away. Impressive to see Jenny Arnold up there, Lucy Charles as well, just sitting a little bit further back. Emma Pallett on the front. She loves to be on the front. I talked to her after the last race, and she said she just absolutely loves the pain of these races on Zwift. And as I say that, we see her now. She's almost kind of got like a nightclub scene going, hasn't she? She's absolutely hammering. She'll give it absolutely everything she's got. Whether that's the smartest thing to do on Zwift, I don't know, because there are a lot of tactics that the athletes need to employ to make sure that they don't get dropped, that they're fresh when they get to the KOMs and to the sprints. And so let's just hope that Emma Pallett hasn't gone too hard too early. But she's broken off the front now. She's got Lucy Charles in 2nd place. It's not significant, but it is a 3-second gap.
It is indeed. We're going to see the Queen of the Mountain in just a second. Before we do that, let's get a little clip to let you know how you can stay in touch with Super League Triathlon. Yeah, get the newsletter, sign up, get all the latest news as Emma Pallett leads off the front. Lucy Charles Barclay and Jennifer Arnold are pushing up behind her, knowing that in about a kilometre's time. And after that little kicker at the start, which goes for about 600 metres, it's quite a reasonably flat Queen of the Mountain section. And it's 2.5 kilometres, average gradient 1.8%, and all of that comes in the first 600 metres. At the moment, they're racing along at a completely flat now. It was 1%. But completely flat, and two seconds separates the top 6. Lucy Charles with the big numbers as she looks to position herself. And we've only got about 600-700 metres to go before the Queen of the Mountain banner, and the next 5 points will be decided. And at the front, it's UK 1, 2 and 3. Lucy Charles Barclay, Lucy Hall, Emma Pallett, and then Luisa Baptista, Jennifer Arnold, and then the Dutch woman Maya Kingma, and that is your top 6, and they're all 20 seconds ahead of the rest of the field. Already, Vanessa De La Torre and Adriana Barazza are over 90 seconds back. So a very, very serious pace being pushed here by the Brits at the front.
Wow, yeah, it's an excellent pace, isn't it? Lucy Charles, though, I can't feel she's already gone in for the hunt. Looks like she's sitting on the wheel of Emma Pallant. Lucy Hall, great to see her up there, having a really decent race this week. She finished back in 5th place with 5 points in the last race, last Tuesday in Harrogate. But as we talk now, Lucy Charles leading the way. Emma Pallant's on her wheel. Lucy Hall from Great Britain. 3 Brits up there.
All right, we're going to come around the corner and we're going to find the banner for the Queen of the Mountain. And Lucy Charles Barclay, again at 8.2 watts a kilogram, is just accelerating away from the field and making it look a little bit too easy at the moment. Emma Pallant looking to respond. There she is in the green. Lucy Hall again behind her. But as it was in Harrogate, it's Lucy Charles Barclay and Emma Pallant at the front. There is Lucy Hall pushing up. Better showing from her. Slow drag now up the hill. And Emma Pallant is up in the saddle, and here are all the contenders coming in now and positioning themselves for this. Orange numbers throughout, 10.1 watts a kilo for Maya Kingma, and here is Lucy Charles Barclay is going to take it. Is it up in the saddle? Goes Maya Kingma, and Maya Kingma might have taken the points in that one. Well, I have to really look at the screen closely to see which happened there, but there is Maya Kingma getting some running repairs, and now she looks a little bit more gassed, and Maya Kingma finally takes top points from Lucy Charles Barclay, relegates her to 4. Louisa Baptista, Lucy Hall and Jennifer Arnold, and well done the Dutch woman.
Wow, great to see a Dutch woman, a non-Brit up there, Will. It really is. And that was a tremendous effort, pushing over 10 watts per kilo for the Dutch woman. I spoke to her after the last race. She said she found it incredibly tough, but she loved it. And this is only her 2nd race on Zwift, so a great effort from Maya Kingma, who takes full points. And I think we need to add, Will, that's the first time that anyone's taken any points off of Lucy Charles in the 2 races.
She will not like that, Lucy Charles Barclay. Her perfect streak of 7 intermediates has been broken. So 9 points for Charles Barclay. Hall, great effort from her with 6. Kingma takes 5. All of those taken in that one because she came 6th in the last one. Baptista's on 5 as well. And Arnold, I'm just writing these down so we know exactly where we're up to, is on 4. And hopefully we see a little bit more of that because we have 4 more intermediates as they head back into downtown Watopia. This is the end of the first lap. They've got about 1 kilometre to go. They've managed to recover a little bit if they're smart using the super tuck on that 700-metre descent back into downtown Watopia, and this flat section will lead into the end of the first lap, and we've got 2 more to go. So who has burnt too many matches, who still has a little bit in reserve? 0.2 of a second separates our top 6, and then it's a full 30 seconds back to Radka Karlefelt, Helen Jenkins, Beatrice Neres, Dominica Jam, Nikki Pamela Oliveira, and Ilaria Zane. And then Megan Brown now has dropped right down the back of the Australian to 3 minutes and 24 seconds adrift. So they make it look easy here at the front, the Brazilians, Kingma and the Brits, but the pace is very, very hot, and that is just the first of 3 laps. And the quality of these athletes is simply superb. There is Louisa Baptista, who has been a fixture in the recent races of Super League Triathlon and leads an ever-increasing Brazilian charge. You spoke to her, Annie, actually during the week, and it was a really, really great chat. You can see that on Super League Triathlon on the Instagram. But how good was that? Before I get your thoughts on that, we'll throw to the first clip. We've got a couple. And Louisa Baptista hasn't done a lot of Zwift racing. She's making it look easy, and this is about her first experience on Zwift.
Still have to compete more in Zwift. The race, there are some particularities of the game, so we go learning a little bit. So I try to force a little to see if some girl could stay behind or something like this. But I think that it was the wrong time, so next time I'll be more careful and try to save energy to the end of the race.
She's one of those athletes, Annie, who is always smiling and just enjoys her work and enjoys everything that being a professional athlete brings.
Oh, she's an absolute joy. She loves it, doesn't she? 26 years of age And she's relatively inexperienced on the international circuit, although she does have a gold medal from the Pan American Games. Interestingly, Will, I was looking at the miles that the athletes have ridden. If you go into Zwift Companion, you can see the athletes racing, click on their name. Over 13,000 miles Lucy Charles has ridden, compared to, say, for example, Luisa Baptista, who's ridden just over 2,000. Maya Kingma, 91 miles on Zwift. That's all she's ridden. We know she only set herself up a week ago on Friday, or 2 weeks coming up this Friday. So what a performance from the Dutch guy. We've currently got 3 British girls in the lead, 2 Brazilians, and of course, Maya Kingma from the Netherlands, who took the King of the Mountains the last time round. They are in their second lap now, 9.1 kilometres per lap, round about that, isn't it, Will, I think, looking at a total of just over 27 kilometres in total.
That's right. That is right. Yeah, tick over 27 kilometres. And yeah, that is quite amazing. 13,000 miles. It just shows you, if you're a long course athlete, the kind of miles. Sorry, 14,000. It just shows you how many miles you have to put in. Unfortunately, we've had bike issues for Megan Brown, so she is out. And some internet connection issues for Ilaria Zane, so that's what's hurting her. Back 50 seconds back. She's still in it though. So as we head out of the S's here with a nice little 8%er at the end of those ups and downs, there's an 8% climb. It only goes for 100 metres, but it burns the legs. As I did this yesterday, this course, and it was tough to take notes on this course and ride it at the same time. Even though I was going slowly, my heart rate was going through the roof. We're coming back down the hill now, which means we're about to head into the sprint once again. And as usual, out the front, Lucy Charles Barclay positions herself well, and the others respond. In the black is Lucy Hall. Now moving up as well to the front is Emma Pallant. She's not getting left out again as everyone bunches up and takes this left-hand turn onto the bridge. And out the front now, easily, is Emma Pallant from Arnold, Charles Barclay, Kingma and Hall. And Pallant sees that 5 points. She missed out, or she ended up with 2 points the last time around. She wants to make it stick this time, and she is going to do that, just with Charles Barclay finishing really, really hot. Baptista, Kingma and Hall. But I think Pallant will be the one to take the points this time, and we're starting to share them around, Annie.
Oh, it's making the racing really exciting. I'm eating my words slightly. I did say I didn't think that Lucy Charles was going to give up any points today, barring a disaster or a mechanical. But, you know, we don't know what these athletes have been up to in training. But I know for sure, I mean, she's such a professional. She really is. I think this will be hurting Lucy Charles, and it will have slightly rattled her, I think, whether it's fuel for fire and she's going to save something a little bit for the last. But it's all about the points in this race. You know, it's not on the line. They've got to collect the points as they go. So there's no rest for these athletes. They've really got to be, you know, on it, as we saw Lucy in Harrogate.
Yeah, there's no buffer now, so everyone will be going all out for every point as we see Emma Pallant take 5 from Charles Barclay, Baptista, Kingma and Hall, and we'll get the updated points with 15 now decided. And it's going to be a lot closer than it was last time around as we head along the cobblestones of the villas, out onto the rollers. We've got a kilometre of little ups and downs here before we arrive at the big bridge, which heralds the start of the Queen of the Mountain once again. So Charles Barclay, 13. Baptista has moved into second position on 8. Kingma on 7. Hall on 7. And Pallant, and she needed that one, moves in and takes the 6. But still a 5-point buffer for Lucy Charles Barclay, but plenty to be decided as we've got double points on the line and 3 more intermediates to go. So next time into the Queen of the Mountain, coming up in about a kilometre's time, and that's where it's really going to start to hurt, Annie. And we know how hard these women have gone out.
Well, this course, it is a tricky one. It's a nasty one. It's certainly not one that I would enjoy because it is pretty relentless. And I think it's really going to sort of play into the hands to the stronger athletes, as we're seeing. You know, we've got now Pamela Oliveira, 49 seconds down. Ragnar Carterfelt, Helen Jenkins as well. She's racing a little bit better this time out. We know she's coming back from, you know, children and injuries and all sorts of stuff, and really enjoying this racing, but hasn't quite got the power that the likes of the top 6 has. Lucy Hall now from Great Britain out in front, and it's really good to see the Brazilian athletes who got dropped last time round. Jennifer Arnold from Brazil, she's up there, hopefully slightly helping out if she's able to her teammate Luisa Baptista, who's sitting in second place overall at the moment.
Yeah, it's really strung out now, this field. The pace at the front, I keep saying that, it's just getting hotter and hotter. It's over 50. Well, Pamela Oliveira is 49 seconds adrift, all by herself, with a group of athletes at 56 seconds back. And then Adriana Barraza is at 3:41 at the back of the field at the moment. But at the front, the pace is on, and they're heading along the flat section here at about 40 kilometres an hour before they head back to the cycling statues again, which means we're at the start of the Queen of the Mountain, and we're going to cross the red line right now. And this little kicker is coming up again. So 600 metres of climbing. We're starting at 2%. We're going to move up to 11%. And Emma Pallant, this is where she attacked last time around and strung the field out somewhat. And we're going to see who's got it in the legs this time as Lucy Charles-Barclay again moves to the front, where she is so accustomed to being. When you look at her numbers on ZwiftPower.com compared to some of the others in the field, it's quite distinct what kind of power she can put out, both over 15 or 20 seconds and 20 minutes. She is a truly superb athlete, and she leads the way up the hill for the second time.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Will. You know, and being an endurance athlete, she's only 26 years of age. Let's not forget as well, and a three-time runner-up at Kona at the World Ironman Championships. You know, you don't normally see, you know, aerobic athletes, you know, the endurance athletes, which with such power, but, you know, she really can generate some power.
Yeah, she just makes it look all too easy, Lucy Charles-Barclay. And if you want to get some idea, I mean, if you're at home and you're a Zwift rider and you think you've got it good, like I'm looking at these numbers right now, she can push 10.6 watts a kilo over 15 seconds, which is actually unbelievable. Her personal best wattage, 626 watts, which is streets ahead of anyone else in this field. Her FTP is well over 300 watts. For an athlete that's only 59 kilograms is a truly special effort. And again, she is figuring heavily in this one behind Lucy Hall, who's having a much improved showing this time around, finished in 6th position in the last race. She is currently sitting in equal third, and they are behind Emma Pallant, who is going to lead the drag up this hill, with Charles-Barclay now taking another turn on the front. And it's flat enough here to get a little bit of a, well, not quite flat enough to get the draft, but there will be sections where there is draftable sections up this Queen of the Mountain, which doesn't happen too often. Maya Kingma in the back in the blue there. Baptista in the red. Charles-Barclay in the yellow, you can see. Moves to the front once again. So she knows when to go, Lucy Charles-Barclay, and this is the time.
She's still got Emma Pallant there for company, just coming up alongside her, as is Luisa Baptista as well. They all know there's a lot to play for still, particularly for the second and third position as we speak now. There's the Brazilian Luisa Baptista. She's loving this racing, isn't she? She won't have her coach too far away from her. He was alongside her the entire race the last time round, and she said she enjoys her. Emma Pallant now in the pain cave as the athletes head to the sprint. It looks like Emma Pallant up alongside my screen isn't that clear actually at the moment, Will, but I think it's Emma Pallant up alongside Lucy Charles.
Seems to be. There's Maya Kingma, who looks like she's in the roof with a bunch of bikes all around her. Everyone's got a different setup in their cave as Arnold leads off the front now. Charles-Barclay, Pallant, Baptista, Kingma, Hall. 0.4 seconds between them, and it's not long until we're going to arrive at the banner once again, and some more points will be decided. So Charles-Barclay up the front with Baptista. Baptista puts a little kick in now. She's pushing 6.7 watts. Pallant at 8.3. Baptista not up in the saddle yet, though, and we're going to see the banner very, very soon. We'll go back to the full screen, hopefully, as Pallant kicks now. She's at the front. Everyone moving up. Big numbers being pushed. The banner coming up in the distance, and it's Pallant off the front from Kingma, and she is up and punching it. She needs those points. Here comes the banner. Pallant off the front now. Kingma moves up in the blue. Is Kingma going to hold off again? Charles-Barclay, I think she did again. Maya Kingma takes a second Queen of the Mountain, if I am correct. Provisionally, we think that's what happened. and having a rest on the way down, and fair enough. But another sprint to the top as they head back down into downtown Watopia. And again, Kingma takes the 5 from Charles Barclay. Hall 3, Pallant 2, Arnold 1. Maya Kingma showing her class on the end of that climb, Annie.
Wow, I mean, what an incredible effort, and so well timed. You know, we don't know so much about her racing on Zwift, but I've seen her racing on the World Triathlon Series. We haven't seen her at Super League. Let's hope she comes over, because she is a phenomenal athlete. We've got the points there, overall points now. Lucy Charles way out in front, 17, but Kingma has made up some incredible ground. 12th, Lucy Hall in 10th. Emma's dropped back to 8th, and Louisa Baptista with 8 points as well, joint 4th alongside the Brit Emma Pallant. But still a lot to play for as the athletes make their way round. Now the second lap, 1 lap to go after this, and I think Maya she actually looks pretty chilled and relaxed, doesn't she, compared to some of the other athletes?
Well, I think it's a little bit like David Manwaring in the men's. His heart rate, I can see all the heart rates. I've got them all in front of me. Maya Kingma's is the highest out of anyone of the top 6, but she's just got that ice woman face. But David Manwaring's the same, whereas if you go to Ali Brownlee's pain cave, he looks extremely distressed at all times, and I can totally understand where he's coming from on that one. So it's all about how you outwardly project, whereas Lucy Charles Barclay right now has by far the lowest heart rate of anyone. It's very interesting to see how quickly she can recover, and as opposed to say a Louisa Baptista or Maya Kingma have got a heart rate sort of 20 beats a minute higher, and of course that depends on how big an athlete you are, how much you weigh, and all sorts of different things. But certainly keeping it very stoic is Maya Kingma as we head into our final lap. And Lucy Charles Barclay, Annie, is now protecting a lead of still 5 points, and the others are sharing around the top, maybe sharing around the top spot, but no one's digging into that 5-point lead.
No, but I tell you what we do have to remember is that it is double points on the finish line. So Lucy Charles, unlike the last race in Harrogate, where she probably was fairly relaxed, she's got to really keep on it this time, because, you know, Maya Kingma, she's certainly done her homework on her, but she's a bit of an unknown, I guess. And she'll be wondering, you know, what she's got to do to keep her off. You know, the sprint finish is going to play more into Lucy Charles's hand, but I think Maya Kingma over last week, the 2 races, has learnt so much, and she's placing her so well. I think there'll be a lot of Zwift riders out there that will be very impressed with the young Dutch athlete.
Indeed. Lucy Charles Barclay on 17, Kingma 12, Lucy Hall 10, Baptista 8, Pallant 8. And we've still got 2 intermediates worth 10 points between them, and a further 10 points on the line. So 20 points of the total of 40 still to be decided, with Lucy Charles Barclay 5 points in the clear. So Baptista has dropped a little bit off the back. She is now 4.3 seconds adrift of our top 5. So taking Baptista, if indeed she is taken out of the mix, there she is all by herself, which makes things a little bit more difficult. So she's been dropped on that run out of downtown Watopia and back into the S's here. It might play into the hands of an athlete like Maya Kingma or Lucy Hall to have Baptista not stealing points as they make their charge up towards Lucy Charles Barclay at the front. But at the moment, now we have a group of 5, with Baptista doing everything she can to rejoin, and a big gap back to Pamela Oliveira, Beatrice Neres, Radka Karlafelt, Dominika Jamnicki, and the rest of the chasing field back to Adriana Barazza at 5 minutes and 49 seconds adrift, and still battling her way up, the Queen of the Mountain on the second lap. As they roll through the S's once again, we're going to see the sprint soon, and this is really key, this sprint, Annie.
Oh, wow, it is really important. It is, because Lucy Charles not quite having it her own way at the moment. Lucy Hall's up there. Just great to have the information that we've got. Lucy Hall sitting on 300 watts at the moment, working really hard. Heart rate pretty high, 185. She's got the highest in the field. And honestly, that's the beauty of Zwift, isn't it? All this information that we can see is just something that you don't get out on the road. So really great detail that we're able to see with the athletes. Lucy Charles, though, sitting out in front, impressed with the Brazilian athlete, Jennifer Arnold today. She's sat in quietly, hasn't picked up that many points, but she's held on. Luisa Baptiste, she's a casualty, I think, of that last climb. She's dropped back down now 11 seconds, and that's the problem, Will. When you get dropped on Zwift, it's so hard to get back on again.
Yeah, she's dropped way off the back there, 15 seconds adrift, and she won't figure again as we head into this sprint that we've just had the last little kicker out of the S's, which means we're heading downhill and to the left and across we go. And at the front is Lucy Charles Barclay, and they're strung out in a line behind her, meaning they're going to get that drift. Can she hold on, or has she gone too early? Maya Kingma up in the saddle now, and everyone follows her. Lucy Hall's there too, Jennifer Arnold, Emma Pallant. Who's going to take this one? It's very, very tight. And I think Emma Pallant, I think Emma Pallant took that one.
Yeah,
and maybe Kingma even relegated Charles Barclay to third. We'll have to see. That'll be important. That'll be very important. We very much need Emma Pallant definitely needs those points. No, Charles Barclay managed to steal it. Well, that makes a big difference. As Emma Pallant takes the 4, she goes to 12. That's not going to be good enough. Hall also goes to 12. Kima only got 3 there. So the big winner there in the end was Lucy Charles Barclay, who extends her lead from 5 points to 7. And there you go, 15, 12, 12. And almost she's got one hand on it just by virtue of going early on that sprint, Annie, and holding on.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I mean, I didn't call that one. It looked to me like Emma Pallant had it, but she didn't. She's a smart racer. I'll say it again. She really is. But the fight now really, I think, is for third position. And that's what's going to make this really exciting. Maya Kingma's up there. Emma Pallant is up there. Luisa Baptiste, she's dropped way back now. And that's what's happened. That's, what happened in this kind of racing. Once you've lost the wheel of the rider in front of you, as we can see, the young Brazilian athlete now 27 seconds down. But Maya Kingma, Hall, Charles, Pallant and Arnold still in the mix there. Arnold, though, not picking up too many points, but, really holding her own amongst some very talented and experienced athletes.
Yeah, you can tell who has got a little bit extra and who's just trying to hang in with the pack when it comes to those sprints, and who can pop out the orange numbers you see on the right-hand side of your screen. But so good to see people following along, getting plenty of messages on social media of people enjoying this one, people putting their feet up and watching a little bit of Zwift racing, whether they've got it on the TV or on their phones. Of course, social media are a big part of what Super League puts out, and here's a little bit more information about how you can get involved.
Welcome aboard, everyone. Super League Direct.
Easy, look at that. She got the skills.
It's on.
That's a good combo.
Yeah.
Super League across all channels, and keeping the content coming in this lockdown world in which we're all living, which is why we're doing the Zwift thing and keeping the racing coming. And it's in a race in 5 at the moment with Luisa Baptiste. Well, the rubber band has snapped and she's all by herself. It's going to be a lonely 5 or so kilometres for her, heading back in to Watopia. But they cross the bridge, they head to the Queen of the Mountain once again. Lucy Charles Barclay 7 points ahead. We've got 5 on the line for the Queen of the Mountain and 10 across the finishing line. But you'd be very brave at this point, Annie, to bet against Lucy Charles Barclay taking a second win from 2 events. But Maya Kingma, you see there in her roof, probably has really taken it to Lucy Charles.
Well, she certainly has, and I touched base with her this week. She's actually having a bit of a downtime. She said she's staying out on a farm looking after some animals somewhere. She was slightly unsure of her setup, but you know what? Perhaps that little bit of variation, and the rest has really played into her hands, because it's great to see her, come into the top positions. I'd be surprised if we don't see her finishing top 3, which is absolutely brilliant for the young Dutch athlete. Emma Pallant now on the front, still absolutely hammering it out. She loves it. And I tell you what, she's going to have to love pain, Will, because these last 3 kilometres, just over 4 kilometres, are going to be really, really painful.
Oh, they really are. And this part especially, where they head up, you can see on the top right of your screen, 8, 9, 10, 11%. It tops out at 11 just there on the turn. which is, again, the early part of the Queen of the Mountain section. And if they weren't already in extreme pain, they certainly are now. Lucy Hall topping out at 189 beats a minute. Maya Kingma 184, Jennifer Arnold 161, Lucy Charles 176, Louisa Baptista 170. Very, very tough times, and this is what these athletes love. It pushes them a bit further than they do in training. They get that taste of competition, and they see these other athletes around them. No matter where they are, spread around the world, that's the beauty of Zwift. Brings everybody together on a level playing field and allows them to race.
Oh, yeah, well, that's the absolute beauty of it. I love it. I love the fact that these guys are getting a chance to get out and have a hard hit out. You know, it's not for some, you know, but when you look at what Emma Pallant said about this sort of racing, to see someone like Lucy Charles up there, Maya Kingma, you know, who's come across, you know, from World Triathlon Series, I've not seen her on Zwift before, Lucy Hall as well, as we take a little glimpse of Emma Pallant there. She's going to be hurting, but I tell you what, if there's one athlete on this lineup here who knows how to hurt, it's certainly Emma Pallant, and she's got to work hard if she's going to get a top 3 overall here. Maya Kingma now still looking slightly relaxed. She's even able to talk. I don't know what she's saying though. We can't hear her, but it would be interesting to know.
I'd say she's saying, when is this going to be over? And the answer is in 3.2 kilometres. So just keep going as hard as you can. We're about to head up again to the Queen of the Mountain banner, and the rain is tumbling down here in Watopia. It's a terrible day, but everyone is remaining dry, and that's the beauty of it. It doesn't make any difference whatsoever, and we should mention, and I forgot to mention again during the race, that despite the fact that these athletes are on different bikes and have different setups, it's a completely level playing field. No power-ups, no advantages whatsoever. Doesn't make any difference if you're in the rain. You just got to keep putting out the watts as much as possible. And at around 5 watts a kilo, Lucy Charles is doing that. And she always makes sure she's in the top 2 or 3 as we approach a point-scoring opportunity. And we're going to see it heat up in just a second. Maya King has taken the last 2 Queen of the Mountains. Can she do it again?
Oh, I wouldn't bet against her. I certainly wouldn't. And she's looking pretty, I'd say relaxed, but sometimes that is deceptive. But she knows what she's got to do here. And I'm not going to bet against the young Dutch athlete. And we're just seeing her there on the right hand of our screen, working hard now. She's grimacing as she heads towards this final King of the Mountain.
Yep, the orange numbers are coming, and the pace of these athletes is phenomenal as they head up. And because it's such a terrible day in Watopia just at the moment, it's hard to see how far away the Queen of the Mountain banner is, but it is approaching through the fog somewhere as Kingma is up near the front. Jennifer Arnold, who hasn't really taken many points despite being in this group of 5. All the orange numbers popping up now. Lucy Hall and Emma Pallant as well. And that is Kingma off the back. She's moving back into contention. It's Pallant and Hall, though, at the front. Arnold behind them, and it looks like Lucy Hall might take it. Will she? I think she will just this time from Emma Pallant. It's Lucy Hall who takes it this time. Charles Barkley came through very, very fast, but I don't think she timed it quite correctly that time. So I was wrong before, I was wrong on the sprint, but she came through very quickly. And I just wonder whether she's going to decide to keep pushing now. Lucy Hall takes the 5. Pallant, Charles Barkley, Kingma and Arnold. But Pallant and Hall are back on 12 points. So you'd think that Charles Barkley is safe for now. Hall goes to 17. Kingma goes to 17. And Pallant goes to 16. Which means they're all taking points from each other and leaving Lucy Charles Barkley out the front to protect that lead.
And I would say that Lucy Charles was pretty tactical there. She didn't want to burn her legs up. You know, she'll be very aware of where she's sitting now in the rankings. She'll have her coach alongside her doing the maths for her. And I think that was tactical. She's saving his legs now, but it's 700 metres to go. And it's starting to really hot up, isn't it? But for my liking, Lucy Charles is saving the best for last.
Yeah, they're going to feel very at home. The British athletes over the last 500 metres with this kind of weather, they love it. The Brazilians won't know what's happening. What is this moisture falling from the sky? We don't understand it at all. 400 metres to go. We're in downtown Watopia. We can't see anything.
and Lucy Charles-Barclay is off the front. Double points on the line, and she's pushing right now. Lucy Charles-Barclay, 300 metres to go, and I don't think anyone's going to be able to go with her. Lucy Charles-Barclay looks like she's going to take the 10 points, 200 metres to go now, and she's pushing 6 watts a kilo. Here comes Emma Pallant. Emma Pallant, she got pipped at the post last time. Emma Pallant on the front. There is Kingma coming now. It's going to be Kingma or Pallant. Kingma or Pallant at the end, and there is Emma Pallant. The head is down. We are going to see what happened there at the end. There is her partner. There's Maya Kingma as well. They've really put it in. Someone's got left hanging for the high five, and Maya Kingma has taken it this time by 0.04 of a second from Lucy Charles-Barclay, Lucy Hall, Jennifer Arnold, Louisa Baptista. Push hard at the end, but Maya Kingma is your race winner, and hasn't she earned it?
Well, she certainly has. I wouldn't have called that one, Will. What an effort. I mean, I don't know if that was good luck, if that was totally planned, a bit of both. But I had Lucy with that win. She went early, she looked strong, but in the end, she got pipped by not just Emma Pallant, but the amazing Dutch athlete, Maya Kingma, who took that sprint finish.
It didn't matter in the end, though, because the double points, some of it went into the pocket of Lucy Charles-Barclay. Maya Kingma took the 10, and she came up to within 4 points, which is as close as anyone got to Lucy Charles-Barclay, who will take the money in the end. Emma Pallant makes it a Team GB 1 and 3. Maya Kingma takes second in between those two. But that race was the best we've seen, I feel, over the course of this June of eSports Cycling Series racing. It just keeps getting better and better. Big smile from Maya Kingma. She enjoys the work, and she's a joy to watch as well. But the racing keeps getting better and better, Annie.
Oh, wow, I love that. That was really exciting. We're just getting a little replay there. I'm loving the rain coming down. As you said, the Brits will love that, although not today because we're nearly hitting 30 degrees. We can see them descending in the rain. I think that's Emma Pallant leading it out, isn't it, with Lucy Charles? In fact, I think that's Lucy Charles leading and Emma Pallant on her wheel.
Yeah, that was, I don't know why we're seeing that actually, because that's a little bit further back. That's probably one kilometre to go still, so we're going to see a very long replay here. But this is the 5 athletes coming into downtown Watopia, and this is how the last sort of kilometre of the race played out in the rain. It was very interesting to see, and we talked about Lucy Charles saving herself a little bit on that Queen of the Mountain. I feel like she just timed it a little bit late. She came rocketing through to take those points, and I think anyone who gets on Zwift is too competitive to leave any points out there. As we saw Lucy Charles take off about 500 metres out and back herself, and fair enough, to try and hold on. And I thought she would, and so did you. At this point, 200 metres to go, and then suddenly Maya Kingma and Emma Pallant came out of nowhere. There's Pallant, who was the first to go, and then Kingma timed it.
Yeah, I mean, Emma Pallant's come through. Wow. Yeah, so Emma Pallant's brought them through, and Lucy Charles just wasn't expecting them. Emma Pallant's given Maya Kingma a beautiful lead into the finish line. Didn't get the win herself, gave it to Maya, did finish second. Lucy Charles in third. I don't think we would have called that, because I thought she timed that lead out perfectly well.
Oh, me too. And then I thought Emma Pallant had it on the line, but I was incorrect, and 0.04 of a second it was. She was pipped by Maya Kingma. Lucy Hall finished 0.18 of a second back, so 0.2 of a second covering the top 4. Jennifer Arnold, 1.5 seconds. Louisa Baptista, 1 minute and 8 seconds. Once that rubber band snapped, that was it. A group of riders at 2 minutes 20 back: Oliveira, Jenkins, Carlefelt, Jamnicki, and Beatrice Neres. Vanessa Della Torre and Adriana Barata are still out there somewhere cycling through the rain, and we lost Megan Brown and Ilaria Zane. But there is Maya Kingma. Can go back to looking after the animals on the farm, knowing that she is a race winner. Congratulations. We will speak to her, I think, on Instagram TV. Annie, you'll be speaking to our winners and losers. So we'll do that. And Annie, thank you very much for joining us on this call. Make sure everyone heads over to IGTV, where you're going to be talking to everyone, won't you?
I will be. I'm hopping over there now. I can get my technology to work. I should be there in about a minute. So see you later, Will. Thank you. What a great race.
What a great race it was. You go to Instagram TV. Everyone else go to Instagram TV to hear from our winners, the Super League Triathlon account. I will be going back to bed because it's 4:59 a.m. and I've woken up everyone in the entire suburb. The men's race will be 7 p.m. British summertime. The last race in our series on Thursday night, which is very early Friday morning here in Australia. Make sure you don't miss it. You can see all of our races on Super League Triathlon Facebook and YouTube as well. Annie, head on over there. Try and work out Instagram TV. I will be going back to bed. We hope that you enjoy that racing. It was absolutely fantastic. We'll see you all on Thursday night.